Hello, Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to my channel, my students. Before watching my video, make sure that you have pressed the bell icon and subscribe to my channel Nida's Literature. Today in this video, we are going to discuss about the listening within the innatist approach. In previous video, we have discussed about listening within the environmentalist approach. So let's start the topic. First of all, this is the brief history of the innatist approach. As I've already discussed with you, innatist approach is something that is related to your inner abilities or internal ability to learn anything or to absorb that information. But in this, it is considered in the under the listening approach. So first of all, this is the brief history of the mechanical of innatist approach. So it was considered as the mechanical process, but now it is considered the dynamic and more mentalistic process because it is the mentalistic approach. So it came from the Chomsky's innatist view. So they tested this skill under the Chomsky's approach by the Comprehension Act. Comprehension Act, you can say that it is a kind of experiment. In Comprehension Act, it is a necessary step for language learning and listening, according to them. And listening was viewed as a primary channel, by which a person can gain L2 input, second language input, and while in turn serving as a trigger for acquisition. So acquisition and learning takes place simultaneously in this Comprehension Act. When you learn something according to the innatist approach, when you listen something, so acquisition is can take place and learning can take place at the same time. So this is totally the brief history of the innatist approach. Now, listener's main role also changed here. Listener's main role in the environmentalist approach also changed there. Now, the listener's main role according to the listening under the innatist approach, these are the listener's main role. It totally changed from merely recognizing sounds to actively participating in the comprehension process through the use of mental strategies. So in previous, it was the linguistic approach, and it everything is related to recognizing the sounds by breaking them down into bits and pieces. But in this approach, it is totally a mentalistic or mental process. That's why it is necessary for learning any language through listening. So the concept of to learn the language through listening totally changed from simply repeat, imitate, and memorizing. These were the parts of behaviorist approach, environmentalist approach, to understanding the language. So it is totally changed from repeating, imitating, and memorizing to understanding the language. So this is the listener's main role. Now, the initial listening or listening first it was introduced by the you can say that many educators. They said that the teaching methodologies are important for learning or teaching any kind of language. So learning by listening gave rise to the teaching methodologies that were developed by the educators on what Rost has called initial listening or listening first. Reception should be proceed production to listening with the crucial element to listening. So listening is the crucial element. So it means basically that listening is the first thing to learn any kind of language. Initial means first, or listening first is the same thing. So to proceed the production, reception should be the listening, the crucial elements of the language. This was the total summary of this point. The second one was the pedagogical system. They also presented this system. So the main proponent of such methodologies who proposed pedagogical systems was Asher. And total physical response, it is based on the belief that once learners had exposed to extended period of listening and had been able to understand this spoken language with non-verbal actions, they could be ready for oral practice. If a person is able to learn the language without the use of gestures and body language, and and the language is understandable for him or her with the body language, gestures, and facial expressions. So he is able to learn the language with the oral practice. Similarly, after some years, Krashen and Thurl, they developed the natural approach. Natural approach is something that is related to listening the language first and then the production phase next. It is a natural process. When you listen to something, when you adopt something, you automatically produce that, imitate those words. So it is totally a natural process. That's why they proposed the natural approach. So that's all for today. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.